Well, hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Dave Lubach, the managing editor for the Facility Market, and I'm speaking with Tom Kelly, the senior energy manager at Purchase College in New York. We're discussing colleges partnering with utilities to meet their heating and cooling and sustainability goals. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
Dave, it is an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so
Great.
much for inviting.
No problem. You reached out to me about a month ago or so after seeing an article on FacilitiesNet about this topic. Can you start the conversation a little bit by telling us a little bit about your situation at Purchase College?
Sure, it'd be my pleasure. And I think in terms of the context of the discussion, if we keep three words in mind in whatever we discuss, I think it'd be a fruitful conversation. And it really boils down to what the Purchase College's motto is, and that is to think wide open. That phrase, that terminology we use both in campus for internal and external. And I think it's an important idea or phrase when relating to energy and how energy is used on campus and the relationships that we create in terms of the future is concerned. When you look at from a college perspective, especially Purchase College is a state institution. It's a SUNY, a state university of New York, which is pretty much a coalition of 64 campuses across New York State that have a lot of opportunities, a lot of challenges, risks, and threats to the survival of education. Education in its framework is not like the good old days. Now, with population trends and shifts and things of that nature is concerned, the competition for students is greater. So how do we retain, how do we attract and retain students is akin to how do we attract and retain investment in the energy systems that we have. I think, when I reached out to you, I read your publication quite a lot, and I think it's very useful because you bring a dynamic that some publications don't. There's a variety of what you publish in terms of information, and information is power. You can take that information and utilize it to whatever your discipline is, then it's certainly a benefit. And I think with where we are as an institution, it's very challenging being a public institution because in New York, we have a lot of policies and procedures, which is a benefit, of course, because it's open discussion, but sometimes it ties the process down. To be innovative sometimes in the public space can be difficult because you have to go through a lot of challenges to get where you want to get to. And in New York's climate, New York has a lot of policy mandates that are coming through that we're essentially seeking to go carbon neutral by a variety of dates, reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So how can we optimize our existing operations, change the dynamic to fit not only what the students need as we serve both present term, but also the future students and what the state wants us to do. So it was a rather long answer to get to your question of being here in this moment, but there's a lot to probably discuss based upon what I just said.
Yeah. This I guess, lack of a better phrase, marriage between utilities and universities to allow universities to or utilities to really kind of help with the HVAC process and use their equipment and use their advice and knowledge and things like that. Why do you feel that this has become a trend and something that maybe continue to even become more popular at the university and college level?
I think it's a necessity of marriage between large energy users, which most colleges typically are, and utilities. Having worked for a utility, I've 25 years in the energy space, and for 11 years of that 25 years was spent within the utility space. So kind of knowing the back end of what a utility wants to do versus where I am right now, I think I have some insights as to why that is beneficial. And I think ultimately it comes down to reliability. Reliability of power, reliability of energy systems, and working with large energy users like colleges to reduce the energy usage that you have within the college environment and guarantee or help the grid in terms of energy energy usage, transportation is a benefit. And I think you'll see not only in the educational space, but you'll also find in like the large technology spaces that utilities will be approaching them as well because of innovation, mandates, grid reliability, and things of that nature.
Mhm. Where is your school in this process, Tom? Because I know, like when we talked, the article had mentioned schools like Ohio State, Purdue that are really kind of all in on this, really kind of wrapping it up. Where is Purchase College in this process?
We were approached by a outside firm that looked at Purchase College as a great test bed for what Con Ed, which is Con Ed is the local utility within Purchase College's jurisdiction, and Con Ed through a order through the Public Service Commission, which is the governing body of all utility companies within New York State, had issued a request for a thermal energy network. And the thermal energy network could encompass any form of innovative form of utility ownership. And essentially what that boils down to is Con Ed would own and operate a utility network on a customer site. So this company approached us and said, would you be interested in having geothermal wells bored into the ground so that you could extract the heating and cooling from the earth and go into your buildings? And I think with the mandates that we have in New York State, Executive Order 22, which came out last year, essentially trying to electrify buildings and reduce our carbon footprint. I think with what the state wants us to do and what the utility wants us to do is viable. So Con Ed is in the selection process right now, depending upon what the actual needs are, or what the all the proposals that come through. I'm not exactly sure where we're ranked in that area, but I think having the opportunity to be think wide open in terms of aspect is concerned from a utility perspective and a large energy user is important. So I would say we're in the beginning process of it, but we are very open to the idea of exploring through other entities from an environmental and economic perspective to achieve our goals.
And of course, environmental and economical reasons are obviously valid reasons, but I think part of it, and I know is a big talk all over the industry, is just kind of the lack of additional hires and people qualified to run these systems. And obviously with a utility, they have that option, you can hand that over. But in terms of bigger picture, Tom, how can organizations like yours attract the next generations of facility plant managers and help that hiring process so universities can get more qualified employees on hand and not only one, have them on hand, but two, hopefully keep them around?
That is a great question, Dave, and it's a $1 million question that I don't think anyone has the exact answer to. If we had the answer, I think it would have already been implemented. But just a few ideas that I have that could potentially attract is, not everybody is suited for college or through the traditional lens of college is concerned. How do we take a student, a high school student that is good with their hands, apply them to a program through either continuing education or a certificate program, and get them introduced into a college environment? I think with the personnel that we have on campus, within the next 5 years, I know that 2 people within our facilities department will retire, and collectively they have over 75 years worth of experience within Purchase College. So how do you take those 2 people that have so much institutional knowledge and replace them? You need to have a succession plan in order to get people in the door, train them to have the knowledge, but also the belief and the passion to continue on in that aspect. So, you know, a lot of kids today, as far as, you know, going on YouTube or social media sites, creating, you know, that's great, but not everybody can do that. Having the opportunity to attract employees through a variety of incentive programs. But, you know, if I'm 20, 21 years old and I'm on my own, maybe having free housing on campus to supplement their work environment experience, because, you know, I don't know what it is in Wisconsin as far as a 1-bedroom apartment is, but if you're in New York, it's, you know, rather cost prohibitive. So having a way to supplement the prospective employees' financial means could certainly help in that regard, but also in terms of just exploring the opportunity and all the amazing aspects of energy engineering or facilities management. There's so much that's available, and I would say maybe having advertising, like as colleges advertise to students all the great benefits of why you should come to the college in your job description and your advertisements to whatever mediums that you use, include a video or something like that in the job description of a day in the life of a facilities employee. So not only have the job description, but just how amazing it is to work within the field, I think could have an opportunity to provide at least the initial curiosity that upon entry into the field, have the opportunity to grow within the field and know that you have the support within the existing infrastructure to not only learn, but grow and advance in your career.
Well, great, Tom. Thanks for your thoughts today and appreciate you joining us. Once again, this is Tom Kelly, Senior Energy Manager for Purchase College. I'm Dave Lubach, Managing Editor for Facility Market, and thank you for joining us today.